Thank you very much, Felix, for that excellent backgrounder. Now, to discuss these and resultant matters are two accomplished sons of Africa. First, joining us from the United States of America via Zoom is multi-award-winning and multi-continental Professor FEMI Ajayi, Director, Democratic Studies, National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies, National Assembly, Nigeria. Welcome to the discussion, Professor Ajayi, all the way from the United States of America.
Thank you very much for inviting me to this program.
All right, thank you. Our second guest is Kunle Ajibola. He is a global affairs analyst and an independent consultant on international organizations and corporate strategic communications, media, peace, security, and elections. It's good to have you on the show. Welcome, sir.
Thank you for having me, and Happy New Year, Reward.
Happy New Year.
I like your name, Reward. So I hope this year will be full of so many rewards.
Well, you know what they say, the reward for work well done is more work. So we hope to see you on the show. So let's start with you, and the same question I'm going to be asking the professor. 1 year is a pretty short time to analyze properly international relations and its impact. But within this 1 year, how do we analyze President Joe Biden's foreign affairs policy with Africa?
So you will notice that he has some baggage with him from the fact that his predecessor is still continuing, to damage, put some doubt that he didn't win that election. So he's fighting to find his feet. Yesterday, remember, they marked the anniversary of January 6th, which was something unprecedented. Actually, people were asking, is America, some people said the House of Democracy was on fire. So that is that. And then there is the division which that has brought. Has, sort of, made Biden to be looking inwards more or less, more than they should do. So he has not gotten time to actually look at, and by the way, the other thing is that we in Africa must always learn to, lower our expectation from the US. Yes.
Okay.
Because
that's
these presidents are elected by Americans. We did that with Obama. Obama, and a black African American. But what did we get? So I think it would be good to be pragmatic, to be realistic, to know that first their mandate is to their people.
Yes.
And then what is left of that will now depend on what you do, what you are bringing to the table. What is Nigeria? What is America taking from Africa?
Okay, true.
So these are so that is how you define strategic interest, because that is what governs international relations. And once you don't picture that, I didn't see Africa featuring on the campaign that Biden ran, other than the issue of Black Lives Matter. So, which is still unraveling. So I think we should, if we reduce that expectation, I think the disappointment will be less.
All right, this is a very interesting and refreshing perspective. I'm going to push it a little further. His predecessor and former President Trump's approach to Africa was, we're tired of your shenanigans, get your acts together. That was his approach. Joe Biden's approach so far, what they have said is that we are going to be your partners. We're your partners, we're going to partner with you, and we're not going to interfere, we're not going to compete with China and all that. Now, looking at the fact that Africa is decades behind in every area, almost every area of development, which approach is actually better to spur Africa up to, solve its own problems?
Well, talk is very good.
And
he did that when he visited his Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, because he now laid out what will seem to be American policy towards Africa. He was in Kenya, he was in Nigeria, and then Senegal. And then talked about, but here we are. It is about America's interest. So I think, one, Africa as a group, well, after that, there was this summit, in America, which to me is becoming very nauseating, where you have to see so many leaders of Africa lining up to go and meet the head of one nation. They did it. There's China, there is Russia, there is France, there is Turkey, China. You know, so are they saying that they cannot sit down in Africa and discuss African problem? The first thing to do is to, you know, diagnose your problem.
Yeah.
And know, because if you don't, you probably will miss your destination.
True.
So you have to know where you are going. What is your problem? And once that has been done at the continental level, then you also cascade it downwards to the national level. Nigeria, for instance, will be talking about insecurity, talking about you know, economy and other things, unemployment, and so on, and investment. How do you get him, and so on and so forth. But if you don't do that, and then you are lining up to go queue up to for one head of state to sit down and take you all as like a pupil, like pupils, like students, you know, just lecture you. I don't think that is you are going to make progress from there. So I think Africa has not started in identifying what the problem is, or if they have done, the strategy for the solution is you know, is neither here nor there. They have to. African leaders must begin to lead. Okay, they are not.
From what you just said, you seem to be of the opinion that African leaders should not be pampered anymore with all these photo ops opportunities that do not produce any tangible result. We need foreign relations that forces African leaders to get back and solve African problems.
Exactly.
Which brings me to my second question. Okay. We received excellent support for the COVID vaccine supply from the Biden administration. Was excellent, and things moved along quite well. Now, as much as we applaud it, what does that do to Africans' problem solving ability? We seem, like you just said, to be constantly dependent on the West for everything. Oh, America is not helping this. Oh, America is not helping that. What does this do? And what should the U.S., do you think, in your opinion, do in its relation with Africa to ensure that while it supports Africa where it should, where it can, Africa also, it also nudges Africa on to solve its own problem? How do you think the Biden administration can do that?
I will put it in a reverse order. Why? Okay. What will Africa do to, ratchet up its relevance? Yes. And become a strategic partner that it's not that you are indispensable, but nobody can do without you. Mm-hmm. They will reckon with you, and it comes from, you know, this begging bowl syndrome has to stop. Okay, so they have to start. You talk about AGOA, you talk about even the African Continental Free Trade Area. You know, they've talked about so much buzz about it. But what is in concrete terms? What are they doing? Yeah. Because that is the issue. So if you identify that you need to now, what is Africa selling to the rest of the world? Yes. It is essentially primary products, commodities, that they now go there and process and return to you, which you now begin to pay, you know, through your nose. So something that you know, they pick out from here. I saw where they were talking about bitter leaf. Yes. Bitter leaf is now turned into capsules, which we have here. If you go to your garden, you will see. How did we come to the point where we now leave people from outside to come and pick what is here and then go, you know, refine it? And so that is where we have to bring the value chain to the point that it will provide employment for our people. And it will also bring raise our profile and competitiveness.
All right. Professor Ajayi, you are back on. What's your take on this? What's your take on this? Is Africa over dependent on the US? Professor Ajayi, okay, I think he's having small technical difficulty connecting. So I'm gonna take it a little further. I don't think we quite see it. How did we become as Africa so beggarly, so dependent? Our ancestors were very proud people, we can solve our problems. How did we get to this particular? Okay, Professor Ajayi, I'm told Professor Ajayi is back. So Professor Ajayi, I'm gonna ask you that question. The same question I asked. It's been 1 year of the Biden's administration. It's pretty short time to analyze our foreign policy, but what do you think of the President Biden's foreign policy towards Africa? And what do you think also of Africa's overdependence on the West?
And I think we should just be grateful to God that we have someone like that Biden that came after the last president on Africa. And you can see now how we demonstrate that by appointing so many Nigerians to his policy areas, which means that they still have to actually depend on Africa on so many things. And Africa is so blessed, very blessed, especially Nigeria. There's nothing like natural or disasters that actually affect that country. And at the same time, we have potentials naturally and human capacity to actually help him out. And it's now depending or relying on Africans to actually help him out in this administration, regardless of his challenges that he has in terms of the end of democracy, being challenged. In our lifetime, people have to be challenged anyway. Even your lifestyle is challenged also. So they have that challenge, but he's working on that. And the last speech he made day before yesterday, the anniversary, he's able to actually come out strongly against what happened last time. But I think this is the best time for Africa's leaders to actually come out and not be dependent on anybody or anyone again. We have so many natural resources that will actually help us to sustain the continent. And it's time for us to actually do that and ensure that this one is just done, the way it should be done. And then we should stop all this begging for loans. We have so many resources that will actually sustain in Africa.
All right. Professor Ajayi, you just mentioned the fact that President Biden has appointed quite a bit of Africans and Nigerians as part of his cabinet, which shows his leaning and his policy trust and the efficacy of that. I've been talking here with Mr. EJIME, and we've been talking about the fact that Africa has been over-dependent on the West. Now, what do we need actually in terms of policy and in terms of African leadership to wake up African leaders to begin to solve African problem and to stop the begging and the continuous leaning towards the West for every problem that we have?
Not that Africans or Africa as a whole does not have the resources, human capacity, human resources. We have all those things.
We do.
For instance, any average Nigerian that goes anywhere in US excel. They use their brain. Why can't they do that in Africa? So the environment has to actually be created in a way that all the potentials of human beings could be used and utilized. I think it's about time we stop begging all these foreigners to give us money or to give us loans. They will come and invest in an enabling environment if we actually know and be devoted to what it takes to make a nation a nation.
All right. Professor Jimmy, you just heard him speak, and he's talking about, our devotion and dedication to the whole process and policy. And he also mentioned earlier the fact that the Biden administration has appointed a lot of Nigerians and Africans to be people in his cabinet. Now, is this an issue of politics? For example, when Okonjo-Iweala was eventually appointed DG of the World Trade Organization when the Biden administration came in, was that a disposition of, okay, we truly support Africa, or we really don't need to look anything like the previous administration, so we need to do this, so therefore we need to create a completely different image from the previous administration?
First, thank you for rewarding me with Professor.
Oh, sorry.
Because Prof, Happy New Year too.
Yeah, you can talk to
Okay,
to
so, but Listen, it is not about potentials needs to be transformed.
Yes.
To greatness.
Yes.
We've heard all that. Nigeria is independent. We say Nigeria is a country of great potentials.
Yes.
That has not translated into anything. Prof talked about heat. Africa is not zero poor. In fact, part of the reason that America and everybody is coming here, and I like what the Foreign Affairs Godfrey Nyema said, that when Blinken raised the issue of you know, there's competition.
Yes, there is.
And they're saying, don't take loans from China, don't do that. There is competition, very intense, that is happening. And he said, well, we are like, Africa should capitalize on that. You become attractive bride. but you should go beyond becoming a bride to becoming a, real partner that will bring something to the table. So it is good to look at all this because the opportunities are here in Africa, and but what have we done? You mentioned the issue of appointing Nigerians or Africans that they don't take it for granted. They know when the West or these people, they know who can deliver.
Yes.
But beyond picking one, just 1 and 2. Cherry picking from it's like somebody who has an acre of land, and then he's picking just a choice plot. We can convert that acre into, make it attractive
for
as
others,
much as
the
choice plot we're talking about.
Okay.
Because it is within it. So
let get to Professor Ajayi.
Bring the enabling environment,
okay.
the condition that will be conducive to attract investment, and then we maximize the opportunities what we have. That raising the competitiveness of Africa.
All right, thank you. So, Professor Ajayi, I'm going to ask, what does Africa need to do right now, urgently, to catch up in decades of its being decades behind in development? What does it need to do to move from being just a bride, like he just said, to an actual partner with a lot on the table that can talk with pride, that can talk with respect, that can negotiate its own terms better?
I think right now African leaders should actually seize the opportunity of Biden's administration and get in to because everywhere you go, Nigerians or Africans are discussing how to link, and they'll be doing that. You can tell through the remittances Nigerians are making to Nigeria. Is showing you that they have that capacity to actually encourage every single average African to actually do something positive. Now, let's look at the foreign affairs. Also, they must go beyond their own personal gains and ensure that they do what they're supposed to do to represent the country, not working anything towards their own personal gains, to actually invest. Africans should actually, to answer your question straightforward, leaders should get some experts, not experts from foreign land or anything like that, African experts to actually take the advantage of what is happening now. They don't have more than 2 years to do that, because after 2 years now, Biden will do some other things. So that is what they are supposed to do immediately. The leaders and those of them representing Africa in the United States.
All right. Thank you very much, Professor Ajayi. Mr. Paul EJIME, could you just, your last word, just in 30 seconds, tell Africa what you think we need to do, how we can seize the moment, the urgency of the moment to move to the next level?
We need to put our house in order. All right. From the national level to regional and then to continental. Governance must bring the benefits. Human rights, opportunities are utilized provide all the basics which government is all about. And unless that is done, the others will, because what you address the way you dress.
Yes, you are.
So that is the issue. If the outside world sees Africa as a cow to be milked, you don't blame them for doing that.
That's how they'll do it.
But we need now to use our cow, milk our cow, and then profit from it. Whatever God has given us, we need to turn that potential into greatness.
Thank you very much, Mr. Paul Ejimi. It's been a pleasure having you on the show. Professor Ajayi, thank you so much indeed. We look forward to having both of you back on the show and continuing this conversation more on the angle of the African perspective, deal more on our own foreign relations and how we can create a better environment. So I'll just give both of you, ask to give you just 20 seconds each. Okay, Prof, if you could just give us in 20 seconds your final words to African leadership and how we can take the moment.
Just like my other colleagues said there, Africa has very great potentials for people to come in, regardless what you do. But you must have an enabling environment, especially the security. Every single person, either in Nigeria or any foreigner, would like to be secured. So let us actually put, just like you said, our house together to ensure that Nigeria, Africa is fully secured. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to have both of you. Africa is filled with talented individuals. That was absolutely exciting. Artists are very interesting. Their style of artistry, their tools of artistry, it's really, really amazing. And this was one no less. I would say the biggest question on the continent today is the question of the African identity. Are we going to be the continent of beggars, of please help me, moving around with begging bowls and full of potentials? Or are we going to be the continent that is full of power, the continent that rises like a lion to its full potential? My name is Reward Denakirapo. This has been Lens in Africa, your favorite program all across Africa. From the director, producer, and all the crew here, this is saying see you same time next week.